Hello people, I just finished building the Team Associated B74.2. Well, I just finished building the kit, more or less. I have not installed electronics yet. I also just did a very quick paint job on the body. I'm not very, what should I say, looking for a very flashy body with many details, so I just painted with some blue color and a bit of white, so it looks a bit like it's some sort of marble, it's called on Norwegian, like rock. You see here some blue with some white in it. Just a few stickers on here, and this is the lightweight body. I don't sure how much it weighs, so it's very thin really, but it's maybe good enough. And the wing I also painted in white, just a quick paint job. So this is the car assembled, and how long have I taken now? Let's see what this time now. It's about 18 hours. I worked 4 hours one day and 4 hours plus 14. Yeah, I used 12 hours. Totally 12 hours I used, but this is the first kit I ever built like this. So I took me extra time just to be sure that I got all I can see right. Of course I can have done something wrong anyway. Right here you can see the new fan mount, over the engine mount. I've not installed, like I said, the rest of the electronics. I just mounted the fan here to see how it works. And the motor will sit in here, like this. Maybe we can just, like something like this. So we'll have the fan blowing wind directly down to it. I think that should maybe be a better solution than having the fan here in the rear that we've seen before. But the body is done very tight to the fan here, but it's alright. Also we have to cut off some of the body here, both in the rear and the front, to get it sit down. And I will later use tape on the inside here so it get sealed to the sides. This came with the car, the kit. So we are going to be using that on both the sides. You also get some 3M double-sided tape to use. But let's talk about the build. Yeah, this is the first build I ever done, and it went okay, I must say. Yes, for sure, if you are an experienced builder, you would spend a lot less time. I used 12 hours, but I think if you're very experienced, you can maybe do it in 4 hours or at least 6 hours or something. And I would say it was a very good build. Nothing very big troubles or something. It's just me that used some extra time. But it's a few things I have to mention, both in the user manual and about the car, how I felt it was. I could of course be wrong because I'm not experienced buggy 110 scale racer off-road car builder. But let's see. First thing is that most of the screws, I'm not sure what type of metal this is, but I've seen some of this before on armor cars and other cars, and usually if you drive outdoor on an ordinary road and there's some salt there or something, you will see these screws with what is called corrode, so you get rust on them, you know. So I'm not sure, but it would be very nice if the screws could be in stainless steel, so you don't have that problem. I know, of course, that some people buy the titanium screws, but they are quite expensive, so not all people want to do that. But if stainless steel was a good option, maybe the kit could include stainless steel screws. I'm not 100% sure, but I guess these screws are not stainless steel. So if not, it would be nice if the screws was in stainless steel, if that are screws that yes, don't corrode or rust. Then in the user manual was very nice, I think, really, no big issues. But you have some small things, like sometimes, very few times, I'm not sure, but sometimes when you look at the drawings, this is the mount for the battery, and you see this line pointing to this hole, and that's correct. I'm not sure if you can see it now on the video, but they show where you should screw this battery mount in this hole here. But the line don't stop there, it goes on, so it looks like it's instead showing to this midsection here. So that's just a bit misleading in the drawing. Not a big issue, because in the next image you see where they have mounted the battery mount, so you understand that's where it should be. Also here you can see they are using the fan mount in the rear of the engine or motor, but they say here that you can use both fan if you want. You can have both the rear mount and this on top mount. So I choose this on top mount just to test how that's working. Then we have go forward here. This is the gearbox and the diffs, and they say you should, this is the front gearbox, and they say you should use some black grease on the what it's called again, yes, on these gears here for the diff, and that's alright. But if you look at the rear gearbox here on page 9, they also assemble this gearbox here, and you have the same sort of diff and input gear here to the diff, and they don't say anything about black grease here. So you should of course also use some black grease here on the gears. That's just a small error. Then a more serious error, but this we have seen before. I have seen many people talking about this. When you mount the car and you have the chassis and arms and hang pins mounted, all the arms should flex free. So when you lift up the car, the arm should drop easy down, and if you push it up and drop it again, you should drop it down by itself. But there was some binding, and especially here for me, it was here on the, let's see, yes, the right front arm. It was a lot of binding in this arm here, and I will show you a small video that I took when I was working on especially that part. I did shave off a bit on the arm here, just using a file. That's easy to do, and you do it in 15 seconds, that's not a problem. But what also a problem had, it was really that the hang pin was binding inside this arm hole here. So I have had to use a screw bit. Maybe I've left that somewhere else now. But I just used the, let's see, the hang pin is 3.5 millimeters. So I just used this 3.5 millimeters screw bit and put it inside, and not using the machine, I'm just twisting it by my hand to clean up or to widen the hole a very tiny amount. And after doing that, sometimes it loosened up, so the arm was more dropping freely, moving freely. So that I've seen before, and some people have complained about that. Some people talk about that it's the spacers, the shims or what they call it, that's too big. But I tried it without also, but it still did hang up. So in the end I had to do that with the hang pin hole in the arm here. So just note that. then in the rear shock, I not remember which of these rear shock, the piston had a bit of binding inside the shock. So also there I just used this file to take a bit of the piston, very little really. Let's see, where are the shocks instructions here. And the shocks assembly did go alright. It just took me some time because you have these small parts and I had to figure out what are the small parts, but it went alright. Here you can see this is the shock assembly, and this is the shock piston. It's plastic and round. So like, very carefully I just took this around the edges very carefully. And after doing that and also putting some oil into the shock just to test it, if it was just because it was missing oil, it went smooth. But it was a bit binding in the starter. It could of course also maybe after some time just fix itself. And I'm talking about you can use green slime on the what they call X-ring. That's an odd name. Is it really called the X-ring? I'm more used to just call it, let's see what I did forget, O-ring. I'm just used to call it. Like you hear here, you have shock cap O-ring here. And these small, two of them here, to seal off the shock bottom so it's not leaking. They call it X-ring. But alright, maybe that's the right word, I don't know, I'm not from England or America or anything. I'm from Norway. But, so they call it X-ring, but it's rubber O-ring, I would really call it. And they have two of them though. And I use green slime, and it says number 1105. So you can buy that from Team Associated. This is green slime. And it's really green. And slimy. For me it looks like something that comes from Ghostbusters, you know the first Ghostbusters movie. He slimed me, also used in the computer game in the 80s, but green slime really. So this I would buy because they say coating the X-rings, and as I said, I would rather call them the O-rings, small O-rings are, but coating the X-rings with green slime, number 1105, helps seal or reduce X-rings well. Green slime not included in kit, so you can buy this Team Associated number 1105. Should not be expensive. But again, I had a bit of binding here with one of the shocks, but that solved again with a file and putting some oil inside, and it could maybe fix itself after just some time also. And then later here on page 70 they show an odd image here. You have one O-ring here, and this is the same type of O-ring that you are using on the top of the shock, so it's the big O-ring. And this is when you are mounting the springs onto the shock body. But here I show the O-ring here, and I cannot see where they put the O-ring here. And they say you should have 4 O-rings like this, and of course you have 4 shocks. And they also tell you here that use your finger to rub shock fluid on the O-ring for smoother adjustment. So I guess they are putting the O-ring somewhere here. Is it on top here or under here? I'm not sure really, but I don't feel I need it. Maybe if you get dirt on your shocks or something, the O-rings can help to keep the dirt away somehow. I'm not sure. But anyway, they say you should have 4, but I only have 3 like this O-rings left. So if that's right, that you should have 4 O-rings for using on the shock somewhere here, I have 1 O-ring missing. So I'm not sure, either the kit missing 1 O-ring or this is just humbug or not correct or something. But again, somewhat could tell right there. Maybe I should look up the user manual online also to see if they updated some information here. It would be nice. I guess it maybe it's right that you should use O-ring here, but I'm not sure where you should put it, and I don't see the need for it. So it would be nice if they could just show an image and show where they put the O-ring, because here you have the O-ring floating in the air, and here when they assemble they don't show the O-ring. So I am not sure where they put the O-ring. Also on the later image I cannot see the O-ring here, up there somewhere. Well, anyway, I don't think that's very important really. I think that's just something they use if they use it for, yeah, better handling somehow. But I don't feel I need it, and I will of course discover later if maybe I need it. I can just ask some of my friends and see how they did assemble this part. But I don't think it's very important, because it's not used to seal off the shocks, so they're not leaking. They are just using this kind of O-ring for something else, if they are using it at all. Then another thing that was a bit misleading or mistelling, I'm not sure, but the front shock mounts, we have them here. Let's see, this should be on page 90. If you look on page 90, in the front shock mounts, they tell you here with this line that you should mount it in the outermost hole, the hole nearest to the wheels on the outside. But this is for the front. But if you look at the kit setup, the kit setup here, page 24 it must be. Here you have the front suspension, and if you look here, the kit setup here sheet, the kit setup sheet says you should use the inner hole, not the outer hole. So that was what I also end up doing. So you mount the shock with the highest hole here on the shock tower and on the inner hole, not the outer hole, like they're telling you here in the assembly manual. I'm not sure, but I felt the shock was very loose if I just put it to the outer hole. So by putting it to the inner hole, it was more feeling correct. Also, I know that the front suspension and shocks and everything are a bit stiffer than in the rear. So, well, okay, I'm just gonna see how it works with this setup. But there's something wrong here. The drawing here should point to the inner hole, or if it's right to use the outer hole, the kit setup should also say here that they should use the outer hole and not the inner hole. So that, I think, was maybe all. I've not noted anything else. But I've not mounted the electronics yet. The battery strap, this is the new the new battery mount, and it works okay. You have just this rubber band here that you pull over, so, and it works okay. And you have these shims here that you use, so it fits the battery you are using. And then you're just putting this over the battery like this. But is it better than the old system? I don't know. I don't have this car with the old system, but my B6.2 two-wheel drive car, I think that is all right battery mount in that car. So it feels a bit tight there. Let's see. But it sits very good, of course. But then you have these shims, or these plastic shims here. You can take off this and put it in the front, so you can move the battery a little tiny bit, but they're very small movements. I'm not sure how the old battery mount system worked, but it would be nice if you could have some more larger movements like this. But of course I see that it's then coming to the slipper, so then they have to redesign something more here to get that to work. But okay, I don't know, it could be excellent. You just have to see. But the thing that worries me a bit is how strong are these plastic parts here. Because you see this rubber, it's just going around this plastic part here. And if you have a hard hit, like crashing into something, the battery would of course try to go forward and hit into these plastic parts. So I'm not sure, maybe it's alright, maybe these are some weak parts that could break, but well, I hope they've tested it, so I guess it's okay. I guess it's quicker to use this system than some else system, so that's positive of course, and that's maybe why they changed this system, so it's quicker to change the battery, more easy. And it's my 6.2 two-wheel drive car have these small screws. You have to, two of them you have to screw in. That's a bit yeah, not best type of system, because if you lose one of the screws, if you don't have any spares with you and you don't find it, you cannot almost drive the car. So with this system, I think you will never lose this, because it's fixed here. But if this thing breaks or something, but I think it should hold. Well, they for sure have tested it. So that's maybe all I have to say about this car for now, and I'm maybe going to make another video when I mounted also all the electronics, just to tell if I discover something more than. But again, not too hard to work on. Did I find it interesting, and did I like to build this kit? No, I must say no, absolutely not. Why not? Well, it was straightforward and not any big issues when building the kit, but I don't like to build kits really. It takes a lot of time. I use 12 hours. Of course, if I've done it a new car now, I would maybe just use 8 hours, but that's still 8 hours sitting here and using the fingers a lot, and all the tools, and you have all the screws that go into metal, you have to use thread lock on, and the grease, and not to forget the famous black grease that you use on some stuff also. It's a bit messy to work with. Not that messy really, but it just takes some time, and you have to fiddle a bit and be sure that you get everything right. And I like to drive cars. I'm not that very much into building cars and painting bodies and that stuff like that. Also, it would be nice if the body was pre-cut, so you don't have to spend time on cutting the body. I know Team Losi have pre-cut the body that comes in the kit I have here somewhere. I'm not sure, but now let's see. Here we have it. This is a two-wheel drive car, and the body, and I guess also the wing, is pre-cut. I hope I'm saying correct now. One thing I was sort of missing, I saw in the user manual on one of the last pages that they have, you see here they also have some images with some guides to how you can cut the body. I guess because the body maybe can be used on other cars also, but for this car you have to cut that. It gives some guides there. I didn't see that before after I cut the body, so, but some of the images I'm not completely sure what I'm seeing here. Not the best images here, but alright, maybe some help for some people. What was I going to say now? I almost forgot myself. Yeah, and a wing, I'm not sure, but you have this plastic parts that, yeah, they are here. This is some plastic parts that the wing will be mounted on, so of course you have to make some holes here in the rear wing. But I'm not sure. It's very tiny wing. I'm not sure how it holds on after some driving. It will crack up or something like that. Okay, I think that's all. So I come back later if it's anything more to tell about when I'm installing the electronics. So bye bye.